the way that sleep impacts is one of the great ways that we're finding through research now is in the production of our hormones, our growth hormones, and also one that's really well involved in our appetite, and that's called ghrelin, G-R-E-H-L-I-N. It's a hormone that signals our hunger. Okay, it gives us the rumbles and stuff. So if we have not enough sleep, we actually overproduce this hormone. So we're actually stimulating our appetite by inefficient sleep or insufficient sleep. Right? That's just one way. But don't forget there's other hormones involved, like cortisol. So if you're not sleeping well, you're probably not dealing well with the stress hormone, cortisol. And that in and of itself affects all of our metabolic processes. Our insulin, very, very involved in our metabolic rate. What we have here in the UBC program is a very sound nutrition recommendation. One of the biggest things is the focus on a lower glycemic intake of food. By eliminating these white flours, the white foods, what we're eliminating is high glycemic foods. What we're trying to avoid with ingesting high glycemic foods is the huge insulin rush that we have to deal with because we've got a lot of blood sugar. And when we flood our blood then with insulin, it does a really good job of managing the blood glucose. What it does though, it works really well. The pancreas doesn't stop producing insulin into our blood until way after that blood glucose is gone. So what happens after about 2-3 hours of eating the white goods? Everybody crashes, right? We get this crash because the insulin's still looking for the blood, the glucose that it has to manage. So now it's depleting our blood of glucose and we get hypoglycemia. Okay, what do? We're gonna eat. What do we choose? The white stuff. So we're doing the same thing over and over again. Chronic raising of the insulin is a surefire recipe. If I put it on here, I say get fat. This person, get fat. It's going to have, and it's also going to contribute to most of the chronic diseases as we know them today. Rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, of course, and many, many other conditions, Alzheimer's even. So our insulin response has to be managed, and we can only manage that if we keep our blood sugar level through steady eating of nutrient-dense food, and we'll talk exactly about that in just a little bit. What we need to focus on is the old equation, energy in, energy out, right? If we've got the same amount of energy going in as going out, we can expect our weight to pretty much stay the same. If we're trying to lose weight, we've got to create a deficit somewhere. Does that make sense? Okay. Either less is going to go in, or more is going to go out. Okay. If we can do the both together, we're really on target. We're really going to do well. But we can't do them so fast that our body can't adapt to changes. This is what happens sometimes when people get really keen to make a change. They'll starve themselves, they'll go on very low calorie diets, and then they'll go and try and do everything under the sun. They'll try and do so much exercise. It's the wrong thing to do because you're going to get rapid results. You might lose 5-10 pounds in that week of harassment on your body, but very, very quickly you're going to fall off that wagon. Very, very quickly you're going to eat foods that really have no part in your future plans of taking care of yourself. You cannot subsist on a program like that, which is why they fail. So we can't not take in food. We need food. Our bodies are geared to eating and eating fairly regularly. It's a different world than when we were cavemen. Okay, everybody remember the cavemen days? Where we had feast and famine. Okay, now when there was plentiful food and there was harvesting, we ate a lot, and then there was starvation. We used our stores. Well, a lot of people eat like that continually. Like today is the only day there's food, and we eat and we eat and we eat. But guess what? Tomorrow there's plenty of food, but we still eat and eat and eat and eat. So our habits are not like our body used to have. So when we have eaten all this time, we eat every day, we eat every day, we eat every day, probably excessively, and then we start suddenly say, I'm going on a diet. I'm going to go on a low calorie body says, I'm used to all this fuel coming in. What's happening? So it then says, okay, gotta slow down. Haven't seen this before, so gotta slow down. I've got to start to conserve energy. What it does is it sends this plummeting. So our resting metabolic rate goes down because we've told our body you're lacking in fuel and you're not getting any for a while. So it starts to shut down and hold on to its fuel. That's everything. Our fat deposits, even our muscle glycogen. So we no longer can work out properly anyway, even if we ask ourselves to. So we're conserving fuel. Guess what happens the next time we eat something? And tell you what, this cycle happens if you don't eat anything but dinner. You eat dinner every day. It's the same cycle but on a shorter length period of time. As soon as it starts to get fuel, it says, wait, getting it. I'm going to keep it all. And it's very, very efficient at turning anything that's extra, anything that's excessive. Remember, we're a bit weak now. We're not really working out as hard as we could because we don't have the energy to do it. So we're going to store this immediately and very effectively as triglycerides in our fat cells because that's the safest and securest little deposit we can make because we're going to starve again. All right? This is happening chronically. A lot of our behavior is contributing to that, which is why we have the extra poundage and we're carrying it around and why our body is so reluctant to give it up. We've taught our bodies pretty well how to conserve fuel and how to hold on to it. So it makes our job when we do decide to perhaps